Overthinking feels like solving, like you're getting closer to clarity, like if you just think a little more, you'll finally figure it out. But what if the opposite is true? What if overthinking isn't solving anything, but slowly trapping you in a loop that feels productive and is actually just suffering? And the most unsettling part? Your brain thinks it's helping you. Overthinking doesn't feel like a problem at first. It feels like responsibility. You replay conversations, analyze decisions, predict outcomes. You tell yourself, I just need to understand this better. But instead of clarity, you get more noise. One thought leads to another, then another. Then a completely new worry appears, and before you realize it, you're no longer thinking about the original problem. You're thinking about 10 versions of it. This is where it becomes exhausting, not just mentally, but emotionally. Because overthinking doesn't just process information, it amplifies uncertainty. You start doubting things that once felt simple. You question your choices, your words, even your identity. And the more you try to figure it out, the less certain you feel. Which leads to a quiet but important question. If thinking is supposed to help us solve problems, why does overthinking make everything worse? Here's the shift that changes everything. Overthinking is not a thinking problem. It's a control problem. Your brain isn't trying to understand. It's trying to eliminate uncertainty. Psychologically, uncertainty feels like a threat. Not a physical one, but a cognitive one. Your brain prefers predictability because predictability feels safe. So when something is unclear, a decision, a relationship, a future outcome, your brain starts generating thoughts, not to solve the situation, but to create the illusion of control. If I think about it enough, maybe I can prevent something going wrong. But here's the paradox. The more you try to control uncertainty through thinking, the more uncertainty you create. Because thinking generates more possibilities, more what-ifs, more scenarios, which means more things to worry about. And that's where the loop begins. Overthinking runs on a simple but powerful cycle, a mental loop. Thought, fear, more thoughts. Let's break it down. Step 1. The initial thought. It starts with something small. Did I say the wrong thing? What if this decision doesn't work?
This activates your brain's threat detection system, mainly the amygdala. Step 2. Fear activation. The amygdala interprets uncertainty as potential danger, so it sends a signal. We need to figure this out. Your body becomes slightly tense. Your attention narrows. Now your brain is in problem-solving mode. Step 3. Thought expansion. The prefrontal cortex starts generating scenarios. Maybe they misunderstood me. What if this leads to something worse? What if this always happens? Each thought creates more emotional discomfort, which signals the brain, we're not done yet, keep thinking. Step 4. Reinforcement loop. Now the system feeds itself. More thoughts, more fear, more thoughts. This is reinforced by something called negative reinforcement. Each time you think, it feels like you're doing something, so your brain rewards the behavior, even if it doesn't solve anything. And this is how overthinking becomes a habit, not because it works, but because it feels like control. Breaking overthinking doesn't mean stopping thoughts. It means stepping out of the loop. Here are 4 psychologically grounded ways to do that. 1. Label the loop. The moment you notice overthinking, name it. Not the content, the process. Example, instead of, what if I messed up? Say, this is overthinking. This activates metacognition, your brain's ability to observe itself, and that creates distance from the thought. 2. Shift from solving to noticing. Overthinking tries to solve uncertainty, but many things don't need solving. They need tolerance. Example, you don't know how something will turn out. Instead of analyzing every possibility, you say, I don't know yet, and that's okay. This reduces cognitive resistance, which is what fuels the loop. 3. Interrupt the thought-emotion link. The loop continues because thoughts trigger emotions. You can break it by shifting your body state. Example, take a slow walk, focus on your breathing, touch something physical around you. This works because it activates the parasympathetic nervous system, calming the stress response. When the body relaxes, the mind follows. 4. Set boundaries for thinking. Your brain needs structure. Instead of letting thoughts run endlessly, contain them. Example, give yourself 10 minutes to think about a problem. After that, return to action or rest. This trains the brain to see thinking as a tool, not a default state.
When you step back, a clear pattern appears. Overthinking isn't random. It's your brain trying to avoid uncertainty, create control, reduce discomfort. But in doing so, it creates the very discomfort it's trying to escape. The key isn't to fight your thoughts, it's to understand the system behind them. Because once you see the loop, you're no longer trapped inside it. There's something quietly freeing about this realization. You don't need to solve every thought. You don't need to predict every outcome. And you don't need to think your way into certainty. Because certainty was never the goal. Peace was. And peace doesn't come from controlling every possibility. It comes from being able to sit with the ones you can't control. And when you learn that, overthinking doesn't disappear overnight, but it loses its power because you're no longer mistaking it for something useful.